Most women have no idea that the cheese they trust every day may be quietly fueling inflammation deep in the scalp. That inflammation restricts blood flow, suffocating hair follicles and slowly weakening them over time. Right now, your body might be craving very specific nutrients that support hair growth, yet you could be feeding it foods that do the exact opposite. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through cheeses that can actually support thicker, stronger hair and explain why others silently sabotage your progress. And stay with me, because one common cheese sitting in your fridge right now may be causing more damage than you realize. Here's something most people never hear. Not all cheese is bad for your hair. Some varieties are loaded with high-quality proteins, vitamins, and minerals that nourish your scalp and strengthen each strand from the root. But others promote inflammation, disrupt hormones, and slowly deprive hair follicles of oxygen and nutrients. The tricky part is that many women have both types at home and don't know which is helping and which is harming. Let's begin with low-fat cottage cheese, an underrated food when it comes to hair health. It may not be exciting, but it's incredibly effective. Cottage cheese is rich in casein protein, which digests slowly and supplies a steady flow of amino acids throughout the day. Those amino acids are essential for producing keratin, the structural protein your hair is made of. Cottage cheese is also a powerful source of vitamin B12, a nutrient many women, especially over 60, are unknowingly deficient in. Vitamin B12 supports red blood cell production, which directly affects how much oxygen reaches your scalp. Without sufficient oxygen, hair follicles weaken and growth slows. Adding half a cup of low-fat cottage cheese to breakfast, blended into a smoothie or paired with berries, can give your body the tools it needs to support healthier hair. It's also gentle on digestion, which matters because poor absorption in the gut often shows up first as thinning hair. Now let's talk about a cheese many women already enjoy, part-skim mozzarella. This cheese is especially helpful for women experiencing hair thinning. Mozzarella contains 3 minerals critical for scalp health: zinc, selenium, and calcium. Zinc supports hair tissue repair and helps regulate oil production around hair follicles. When zinc levels drop, the scalp can become dry or irritated, and follicles may shrink. Selenium works as a powerful antioxidant, protecting follicles from free radical damage that accelerates hair aging. Calcium, beyond supporting bones, plays a role in hormone signaling and enzyme activity linked to hair growth. Part-skim mozzarella delivers these benefits without excessive saturated fat, which is important because too much saturated fat can impair circulation. You can add mozzarella to salads, melt it over vegetables, or eat it as a snack. Consistency matters more than quantity. Next is Swiss cheese, a nutrient-dense option that doesn't get enough credit. Swiss cheese is exceptionally high in vitamin B12 and naturally lower in sodium than many other cheeses. This combination is ideal for circulation. Healthy blood flow ensures that oxygen and nutrients reach hair follicles efficiently. High sodium intake, on the other hand, can restrict circulation and worsen hair thinning. As we age, our ability to absorb B12 declines, making concentrated sources like Swiss cheese especially valuable. A few slices a couple of times a week can support oxygen delivery to the scalp and promote stronger hair growth. And this is where things get even more interesting, because the next cheese is one of the most concentrated sources of hair-supporting nutrients you can eat. Before we move on to the cheeses you should avoid, you'll want to hear this. Now let's talk about a cheese that looks small on your plate but delivers an outsized impact on your hair: aged Parmesan. This is one of the most nutrient-dense cheeses you can eat, especially when it comes to supporting strong, resilient hair. Because Parmesan is aged, the nutrients become highly concentrated. Even a small amount provides a powerful dose of what your hair follicles need to stay active and productive. Parmesan is rich in high-quality protein, and that protein is critical for maintaining the strength of your hair shaft. The hair shaft is the visible strand you see and touch every day. When it's weak, hair breaks easily, looks dull, and loses volume. 1 tablespoon of grated aged Parmesan may seem insignificant, but it delivers a meaningful amount of usable protein that helps reinforce the hair shaft from within. Another key nutrient in Parmesan is phosphorus. Phosphorus works closely with calcium to maintain the structure and durability of hair. Together, these minerals help keep hair strands strong, flexible, and less prone to snapping. This is especially important as women age, because mineral absorption naturally declines, making concentrated sources even more valuable. There's another hidden benefit of aged Parmesan that many women appreciate. The aging process breaks down much of the lactose, making it easier to digest. For women who experience discomfort with dairy, Parmesan is often better tolerated than softer, fresher cheeses. You can sprinkle it over salads, mix it into eggs, or add it to roasted vegetables. Just be sure to choose real aged Parmesan and avoid the pre-grated versions that often contain fillers and additives with no nutritional benefit. Now let's move on to the final cheese on the good list. And this one is ideal if you enjoy creamy foods but don't want something that works against your hair health. Low-fat ricotta cheese is made primarily from whey protein, and that makes a big difference. Whey protein is one of the fastest absorbing proteins available. When you eat ricotta, your body quickly breaks it down and delivers amino acids to tissues that need repair and support, including your hair follicles. This rapid delivery can be especially helpful if your diet has been low in protein or if your hair feels weak and lifeless. Ricotta is also a solid source of calcium, which plays an important role in hormone signaling and enzyme activity related to hair growth. These internal processes don't get much attention, but they have a direct impact on how well your follicles function. When calcium levels are inadequate, these systems can slow down, affecting hair density and strength. One of the best things about ricotta is how easy it is to use. You can spread it on whole grain toast, mix it into pasta for creaminess, or even blend it into smoothies for a protein boost. Choosing the low-fat version allows you to get all the benefits without excess saturated fat, which is something we need to be careful about. And this brings us to the turning point of the conversation. Because while these cheeses can support your hair, others are quietly doing the opposite. They create inflammation, interfere with circulation, and slowly weaken your hair follicles day after day. In the next part, I'm going to show you the cheeses that look harmless or even healthy, but are actually working against your hair growth. One of them is incredibly common, and chances are you're eating it more often than you think. Now we need to talk about the other side of the story. The cheeses that quietly work against your hair health every single day. These are the ones that increase inflammation, interfere with circulation, and slowly weaken hair follicles without obvious warning signs. And the first one is far more common than most women realize. Processed cheese is one of the worst offenders when it comes to hair thinning. The kind that comes in individually wrapped slices or in jars as a spread may look convenient, but it's not doing your body or your hair any favors. Processed cheese isn't really cheese anymore. It's created by melting real cheese down and adding emulsifiers, preservatives, artificial colors, and large amounts of sodium. That sodium overload is a serious problem. Excess sodium forces your body to retain water, increasing pressure inside blood vessels and reducing efficient blood flow to the scalp. Hen circulation drops, hair follicles receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients. On top of that, the additives and preservatives in processed cheese can trigger chronic inflammation. Inflammation puts hair follicles into a protective shutdown mode where growth slows or stops entirely. Doctors often see this pattern in women who rely heavily on ultra-processed foods. Next is a cheese that seems harmless and is often considered a breakfast staple: cream cheese. It tastes great, but from a hair health perspective, it's one of the least supportive choices you can make. Cream cheese is extremely high in saturated fat and very low in protein compared to other cheeses. That means you're getting calories without the building blocks your hair follicles actually need. Too much saturated fat can impair circulation over time by contributing to plaque buildup in blood vessels. As those vessels narrow, less blood reaches your scalp. Cream cheese is also easy to overconsume. A typical spread on a bagel can contain multiple servings in one sitting, creating a repeated cycle of poor circulation and nutrient deprivation for your hair follicles. Now let's talk about blue cheese, which often surprises people. Its bold flavor and gourmet reputation make it feel like a sophisticated choice. But blue cheese is extremely high in sodium and can trigger inflammation in women who are sensitive to certain compounds. The mold cultures used in blue cheese are harmless for many people, but for others, They provoke subtle inflammatory responses that affect the scalp. Even mild, ongoing inflammation can disrupt the hair growth cycle. Combine that with the heavy sodium content, often hundreds of milligrams in a single ounce, and you create an environment where blood flow to the scalp is compromised. Chronic inflammation plus restricted circulation is one of the fastest ways to accelerate hair thinning. Another very common cheese that works against hair health is full-fat cheddar. It's a staple in many kitchens used in sandwiches, casseroles, and snacks. But full-fat cheddar is loaded with saturated fat, and many commercial versions contain preservatives and anti-caking agents, especially pre-shredded varieties. Excess saturated fat can disrupt the balance of oil production on your scalp. Sebaceous glands may overproduce oil, clogging follicles, or underproduce it, leading to dry, brittle hair. Neither situation supports healthy growth. Additives in pre-shredded cheddar can also interfere with digestion, reducing your ability to absorb nutrients, even if your diet is otherwise healthy. Finally, there's brie cheese, often seen as a luxury or special occasion food. Brie is very high in fat, and the surface mold used during its aging process can trigger inflammatory reactions in women with sensitivities. That white rind is mold, and while it's safe for many people, it can still provoke immune responses that affect scalp health. Brie is also easy to overeat because of its soft, spreadable texture. Just a few servings can deliver a heavy dose of saturated fat, which we already know interferes with circulation and scalp oil balance. If you're dealing with thinning hair and brie is a regular part of your diet, cutting back may reduce the inflammatory burden on your body. So now you've seen the contrast. Some cheeses nourish your scalp and support hair growth, while others quietly sabotage it. And this is where most people get stuck. They know what to avoid, but they don't know how to make realistic changes. That's exactly what we're going to cover next. In the final part, I'll show you how to swap these cheeses without feeling restricted, how to build a simple daily routine, and what kind of timeline you can realistically expect for seeing results. Now that you know which cheeses support your hair and which ones work against it, the most important step is actually making changes. This is where many people struggle. They learn something new, feel motivated for a moment, and then slip right back into old habits. But real results don't come from knowing, they come from doing. Here's what I want you to do starting today. Open your refrigerator and take an honest look at what's inside. If you see processed cheese slices, cream cheese, blue cheese, full-fat cheddar, or brie, you don't need to panic or throw everything away. Instead, think in terms of replacement. As these items run out, replace them with cottage cheese, mozzarella, Swiss cheese, aged Parmesan, or ricotta. A gradual shift is far more sustainable than an extreme reset. Next, start working the good cheeses into your daily routine in simple, realistic ways. These changes don't need to be complicated. Add half a cup of low-fat cottage cheese to breakfast with berries or a drizzle of honey. Slice mozzarella with tomatoes for a light lunch or snack. Grate Swiss cheese into scrambled eggs. Sprinkle Parmesan over salads or vegetables. Mix ricotta into pasta or spread it on toast with a touch of cinnamon. These are small choices, but when repeated consistently, they create a powerful impact. Let me show you what a day might look like when these habits are in place. In the morning, you blend a smoothie with cottage cheese, spinach, banana, and berries. That gives your body protein, vitamins, and minerals right from the start. For lunch, you enjoy a salad topped with grilled chicken, fresh mozzarella, and a light dressing with Parmesan. In the afternoon, you snack on Swiss cheese with an apple or whole grain crackers. And at dinner, you mix ricotta into whole grain pasta with marinara and finish it with more Parmesan. Throughout the day, you've repeatedly supplied your hair follicles with the nutrients they need, without complicated recipes or extra effort. Some of you may be wondering about dairy sensitivity, and that's a valid concern. If dairy causes bloating or discomfort, start with smaller portions. Aged cheeses like Parmesan and Swiss are naturally lower in lactose and often easier to tolerate. You can also look for lactose-free versions of cottage cheese or mozzarella. Always listen to your body. Cheese is helpful, but it's not the only path to healthy hair. It's also important to remember that diet is just one part of the equation. Hair health reflects overall health, staying hydrated, getting quality sleep, managing stress, and eating a balanced diet with vegetables, healthy fats, and lean proteins all matter. Cheese supports the process, but it doesn't work in isolation. Now let's talk about expectations. Hair grows slowly, on average about half an inch per month. That means the hair you see today was formed months ago. When you change your diet now, you're supporting the hair that will grow in 3, 6, or even 9 months from now. Most women begin to notice improvements in strength, shedding, or texture within 3 to 6 months. Consistency is everything. A week of better eating won't do much, but months of steady habits absolutely will. It's also important to be clear about one thing. These dietary changes support hair health, but they are not a cure for medical conditions. If you're experiencing sudden or severe hair loss, bald patches, or other symptoms, it's important to consult a healthcare professional to rule out issues like thyroid disorders, autoimmune conditions, or hormonal imbalances. So, let's recap. Your hair depends on nutrition and circulation. The cheeses you eat can either nourish your scalp or undermine it. The best choices for hair health are low-fat cottage cheese, part skim mozzarella, Swiss cheese, aged Parmesan, and low-fat ricotta. These provide high-quality protein, vitamin B12, zinc, selenium, calcium, and phosphorus, nutrients that feed hair follicles and support circulation. On the other hand, processed cheese, cream cheese, blue cheese, full-fat cheddar, and brie are high in sodium, saturated fat, and inflammatory triggers that restrict blood flow and weaken hair follicles over time. Making the switch doesn't require perfection, just awareness and consistency. Your hair is worth the effort. Small changes today can lead to stronger, healthier hair in the months ahead. Stay consistent, listen to your body, and give your hair the support it deserves.